This is QTV News. I am Ansumana Esonyasi and thanks for joining us. Coming up, Gambians are mourning the death of first President Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara. Jawara dies at the age of 95. State funeral to be held on Thursday. 3 years Jotna, President Barrow gives his response. A QTV story has prompted a high-powered ECOWAS delegation and a range of dignitaries from international organizations to request a visit to speak to women oyster farmers who were featured in the story. And a young woman working in what is usually a male-dominated field tells us why she chose it and why other young women should do so too. Stay tuned as we bring you more on this and other stories. The former president of the First Republic of the Gambia, Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara, has died today at his residence in Fajara. Dawda Kairaba Jawara died at the age of 95. As yet, no information about his health condition before his death has been disclosed. President Adama Barrow, with top government officials, has visited Jawara's residence to pay his condolences to the bereaved family. Our Mahmoud Lamin Choi was at the former president's residence in Fajara and he now reports.
The Tuesday morning has brought sorrow to the hearts and minds of Gambians and the African continent in general. Upon receipt of the news of a fallen long-time Gambian icon, family members, ordinary Gambians, religious leaders and government officials descended on the residence of the former president to pay their hearty condolences to the bereaved family. The Gambia's first-time minister is remembered by many for his contribution to the Gambian nation. Born in May 1924, his 95-year-old life has closed the chapters of his long living history. Known for his commitment to democracy and the rule of law, political leaders who showed at his residence in Fajara, Bakau, recollect their memory of Jawara.
The ordinary Gambian had his due. He addressed the economic ills of the country. With his ERP, he made sure that the country's economy turned around when we were sinking. And he did so without regard to the political consequences that it could have, because it could have led him to lose votes, because it was a very difficult decision. We have lost an icon. He's a person that we, the younger ones, should emulate. He was very contented, and he carried himself with dignity in everything he did. And this is what we, the younger ones, ought to do. And of course, he was a very, very religious person that I know. The Quran has been his friend, and I'm sure the Quran will continue to be his friend in the hereafter.
The news that Sir Dawda Jawara has died brings down the curtain on a life that will forever be bound in the political and public life of the Gambia. In terms of the political life of the country, Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara's place is secure and unassailable. He had the unique distinction of being the nation's first prime minister from 1962 to 1970 and its first president from 1970 to 1994. Dawda Kairaba Jawara is grandfather to Zahra Danding Jai. With remorse, she expresses what the death of her grandfather means to her.
Lost a big, precious person. He did very well. He loves people. All these people are the same and are a wonderful man. Today we will all know what we have. We have already known even.
Both religious and political leaders were present at the occasion to pay their tributes. They advised the present generation to learn from the history of Dawda Kairaba Jawara and emulate his great deeds.
Sir Dawda, being the one who led this country into independence, has always been a consummate leader, somebody who led by example. He respected human rights and the rule of law. He set up strong institutions in this country. He has always been measured in his public utterances and also whatever he did in terms of policy orientation. We are still benefiting immensely from the good work that he and his team did.
QTV speaks to the members of the public to express their feelings in reaction to the news of Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara's death. Many of them express their sadness and offer their condolences to the bereaved family.
I feel very sad about the demise of our former president. Alhaji Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, because Jawara ruled this country for 30 years or more, a little bit, with peace and harmony, and definitely as for Sadauda, one of his son, Ibrahima, is my friend. So through him, when he came back, that's the time we come closer to the old man. Definitely very nice man, very kind, and he's a nice man.
The President of the Republic of the Gambia, Adama Barrow, with some of his top government officials, joined the public to take turns in paying a tribute to the bereaved family. President Barrow hails Jawara's personality and his role in the development of the country.
Today is a very sad day for this country. The demise of Sadauda Jawara is a big loss to Gambia, and it's a big loss to the entire African continent. I think he was a great man, and he was a Pan-Africanist, a big politician. It's a big loss to the political family. And we have come to extend our condolences to the family, on my own behalf and my family, and the government and the entire Gambian people.
Adama Barrow has also announced the holding of a state funeral for former President Dawda Kairaba Jawara in Banjul at the National Assembly on Thursday at 4 p.m. Going down the memory lane, here is in brief biography of Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara. Sir Dawda was very much the father of Gambian independence and led the delegation that went to the Lancaster House negotiations that eventually led the country gaining its independence in February 1965. Dawda Jawara was born in Barajali, Makati Island Division, to parents in the name of Almami and Mama Fati Jawara. He was educated at the Methodist Boys High School in Batos, now Banjul, going on to Akimota College in Ghana for further studies. His educational path did not signal an obvious route into politics. Rather, it seemed to indicate, as happened with many educated in the then British colonies, a desire to help in the development of his country. He traveled to Scotland and trained as a vet at the University of Glasgow's School of Veterinary Medicine, going on to continue his training at the University of Liverpool. He returned to the Gambia in 1953 and married Augusta Mahoney, beginning work as a veterinary officer when the country was still under colonial rule. On entering politics, he became secretary of the New People's Progressive Party and was elected to the House of Representatives in the 1960 election. He became the leader of the PPP and then the country's first prime minister, having prior to that taken over from Per Sarnjai as chief minister. In 1965, following successful negotiations with Great Britain, the Gambia became an independent nation. It was inevitable and fitting that the man who had led those successful negotiations was named Prime Minister. In 1966, he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth and became Sir Dawda Jawara, the announcement being carried in the London Gazette of 11th March 1966. A matter of weeks before his passing, QTV visited Sir Dawda and his widow, Lady Chilal, to present them with a framed photograph of the pair. Lady Chilal shared the good and bad times of Sir Dawda's political life, including being briefly held captive during the 1981 coup. His passing also marks the end of an era when Sir Dawda celebrated his 95th birthday in May of this year. Of all the African leaders who led their countries to independence in the 1960s, he was one of the only two still surviving, the other having celebrated the same milestone 2 weeks previously. With an everlasting history, with generations after generations, we'll continue to learn for the development of the Gambia, our homeland. Mohamed Lamin Choi for QTV News.
After years of speculation and uncertainty, President Barrow has put to bed any doubts about whether he would or would not stand down. His response came at a meeting at State House with West Coast region representatives.
Other countries have a transitional government and the members are appointed. I am not appointed. People voted for me to become the president. So this is different from a transitional government. In this situation, the choice is mine. I can decide to leave, but the mandate is 5 years, and I will fulfill that mandate. The reason is that there is a lot of work I have to do, and I will complete them to be added to my legacy. I want people to say it is President Barrow who brought a good constitution to the Gambian people that may last for 100 years. I also want to bring a comprehensive security reform and strong institutions that are responsive to democratic principles as part of my legacy. I am the first president to audit the security sector and know what is there. Governments abide by rule of law. When I was taking over the country, our covers were empty. Less than 1 month expense, the country's debt was at 120%. The country was bankrupt and treasury bills was at 23%. But today, we have reduced that to 9%. And that have forced commercial banks to reduce theirs to 15%. Our foreign currency reserve was 35 million, and that was a loan to the country. We have paid back that loan, and today our foreign currency is over 200 million. There were also accounts in almost all the banks just to make it easy to steal money. We have now closed all those accounts, and now we have only one account where all the monies go into. All this was done for the sake of transparency. All Gambian citizens have the right to become president. You can do it if you want it, but you must enter through the front door and not the window. We will create a level playing field for all. If you argue at night about who is more handsome, wait till morning. The truth will be known. The key of the door to become president is with the Gambians, and only Gambians can put you in office. If you want to be president, be ready in 2021 for a wrestling combat, and whoever falls down is the loser. Politics with insults and causing trouble is of no use. I was at UDP, but I have lots of friends in APRC. I even do business with some of their cabinet ministers, and that was not politics. I am the president of the whole Gambia, and I will welcome anyone who come to me to develop this nation. I saw the example in Mauritania and Nigeria. The incoming president and the outgoing president sat together and complement each other. That's the Gambia I want to see. Gambia is for all of us, and you gave me the responsibility to lead, not because I am more intelligent or educated, but it's because of the trust and confidence you have in me. Thanks to all of you who came here today representing the Gambia. God bless you.
And we now take a short commercial break. The news continues when we return.
It's raining and you don't have credit? Just eFund Kanta it. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
It is the new era in broadcasting. We showed it to you with our continuously improving content with thousands of viewers around the world. Now, how do you take advantage of our existing and constantly increasing viewership? Advertise with QTV and reach a large audience. Call us on 3244 or email marketing@qtv.gm. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. QTV Gambia. QTV, a new era in broadcasting.
Welcome back. The ECOWAS Cross-Border Cooperation and Free Movement Operational Mission team visited oyster farmers in Katong. The visit came about after members of the mission saw a report about female Senegambian oyster farmers on QTV's Chicken Show. Members of the ECOWAS mission wanted to speak to the women to get first-hand information from them. They also wanted to see if there were any means of providing support to enhance the effectiveness of their work. Malik Nyang tells the rest of the story.
As part of their mission to empower women and promote free trade across borders, the ECOWAS team visited the Senegambian women at the oyster farm in Katong. Having observed the hardworking women, the ECOWAS team believed it is necessary to visit the oyster farm and hear the challenges faced by the oyster farmers in carrying out their work, and if possible, get them some support. We had learned that these women are able to help their husbands and educate their children with their earnings from the oyster farm. The team comprised officials from the ECOWAS Commission and a representative from the German Society for International Cooperation, the International Organization for Migration, EU Free Movement and Migration Project, Senegalo-Gambia Women Federation, Women's Bureau, Gambia Women Chambers of Commerce, and other development partners. The head of ECOWAS Regional Cross-Border Cooperation Program, Kinza Jawaranjai, acknowledged the wonderful work of the oyster farmers, saying that though support is not fully guaranteed, she said that they would make it part of their mission to get assistance for them.
As I said, it's a fact-finding mission. We're here to assess the needs and to go back. We're not saying immediately we're going to support you, but we will be able to sell your story. We will be able to speak to partners that are interested and to introduce your plight at that level.
She went on to acknowledge that it was seen a documentary made by QTV's Linger on Jigeni Jambar that led to their visit to the oyster farm. It was revealed that Fatou Kinte, the Minister of Women, Children and Social Affairs, watched the QTV program along with some of her staff, and as a result recommended the visit. Due to this, the president of Senegalo-Gambia Women Federation, Ndaihawa Kansise, gave her acknowledgement and assurance of support.
We saw your program on QTV. We will take this opportunity to thank QTV for showing this type of program, because this is what we are looking for. And we have chosen on behalf of the Federation and Women's Bureau and all the women organizations in the Gambia women are ready to help you through the ECOWAS.
An oyster farmer, Aissatou Jaju, said the oyster is their livelihood and it is what they use to educate their children, and that getting support would be highly appreciated.
It is our livelihood. We are eating on them, school fees. We pay our children's school fees from it and also pay their courses from it. Because if we don't pay these children's school fees, what I've seen most of these children going outside, dark way. And we don't want our children to go.
A representative from the GIZ, Bakari Sanu, also spoke about the visit.
We can develop your capacity and also we can equip you. I've heard what the urgent issue, and it's not fear that people are dying and look for their livelihood. So this one has to hand.
He further advised the women to be more organized, as support might be impossible if a strong supporting organizational structure is not established. It was clear that the oyster farmers would warmly welcome any help that assists them in creating jobs and promoting economic growth, thereby dealing with one of the root causes of irregular migration. Malik Nyang for QTV News.
Meanwhile, despite the limited number of women in science, technology, engineering and maths, especially auto mechanic engineering, Ida Fall is a proud auto mechanic engineer. According to her, if she had to, she would choose this profession over and over again. Jeraba Sonko visited the garage where Ida works, and she now tells us more.
Ida Fall is a perfect example of a woman in STEM who is not swayed by the challenges that come with it. A 2010 research report by the American Association of University Women found that environmental and social barriers, including stereotypes, gender bias, and the climate of science and engineering departments, continue to block women's progress in STEM. Surprisingly, Ida studied business, which was her mother's choice, but she later realized that she could not continue in that field as it was far from being her passion.
Most of us, the youth, are more into the formal sectors than the informal sectors. Then I know something must be done. That's how I start researching, and then I have passion for auto mechanics, and also I love solving problems. And I know me doing that is to venture into a field that will give me hundreds of problems to solve a day. So that's how I venture into automotives.
Ida's supervisor at the workshop has this to say about her work.
She always impressed me in terms of work, really. She do more. If we have women like Ida, like let me say 3 or 4 in this country, I believe she'll help to motivate more women to believe in themselves and be part of mechanic. Because although people are saying mechanic job is only meant for men, but I want to discover that idea. Women who can do mechanic, Ida prove it to me. And I have the belief in women to say, yes, actually they can do it.
Ida calls on young women to get out of their comfort zones and try new things. She urges young women to ignore the challenges that come with venturing into STEM and enjoy it.
Please, our parents out there, look at us. You guys know us better. I know that most of our parents want the best for us, but sometimes you will have a kid who is not good academic-wise, but he or she will have a talent for something else. Try and push them, nurture those talents. Because I used to tell people that us in the technical fields that people view down upon in society, actually we're the most richest person in our society. Look at the buildings, we made them. The mic you're holding, the television, the phones, everything we made them. So I will tell parents that to help their kids nurture these skills that they have in them.
For more on Ida's inspirational story, tune into QTV tomorrow, 7 p.m. to watch our full interview with her on QTV's Youth Dialogue. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Basonko.
And in sports, Gambia's finest woman sprinter, Gina Bass, has put Gambia on the medal podium as she scooped silver with a time of 11.13 seconds on Tuesday at the African Games. Bass finished second behind Talu of Ivory Coast, who is regarded as Africa's fastest sprinter at the moment, and her victory summed up the best outing for Team Gambia, having already bagged gold in beach volleyball. Unfortunately, Ibrahima Kamara, who had a good start in the heats and semis, lost in the main final. And before we end this bulletin of the news, let's take a quick look at our main stories. The former president of the First Republic of the Gambia, Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara, has died today at his residence in Fajara. Dawda Kairaba Jawara died at the age of 95. As yet, no information about his health condition before his death has been disclosed. President Adam Barrow, with top government officials, has visited Jawara's residence to pay his condolences to the bereaved family. And after years of speculation and uncertainty, President Barrow has put to bed any doubts about whether he would or would not stand down. His response came at a meeting at State House with West Coast region representatives. The ECOWAS Cross-Border Cooperation and the Free Movement Appraisal Mission team visited oyster farmers in Katong. The visit came about after members of the mission saw a report about female Senegambian oyster farmers on QTV's Jigen Show. Despite the limited number of women in science, technology, engineering and maths, especially auto mechanic engineering, Ida Fall is a proud auto mechanic engineer. According to her, if she had to, she would choose this profession over and over again. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Join us tomorrow for more news. Until then, on behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching.